There are a lot of perks to being an esports competitor. You get to travel the world, you make a living playing video games, and if you're especially popular, you'll have legions of fans that will do anything for your attention.
Let's go, Daddy Dragon!
Jesus.
Of course, being in the spotlight is all well and good when things are going your way. But this is esports we're talking about. A competitive arena that can see heroes turned into villains with a single misclick of a mouse.
Here we go.
Here's Ray in as well. Oh, this one's Garrett's going to try and keep them out. Redemption down Ray. Dives back in and hold. They kill Jensen. Perkz gets the kill. And now Ray stunned up
Sneaky on the side.
Still trying to fight around, but he can't get into the fight. Smoothie far too low, goes down. And they're going to take Elder Dragon as well. Disaster for Cloud9.
Fans will scrutinize you and discuss your every move on social media. Hell, sometimes you'll even get roasted live on stream.
20,000%. Tactical!
Yo, what's going on?
Oh my god, dude! Tactical is tilting me so hard, man. Just play normally.
But what if all the attention that was focused on a world-famous player like you didn't always reach you? And instead, the constant commentary on your performances was accidentally sent to someone who doesn't even know who you are or what game you play. Well, in the case of Emily Perkins, who just happens to be known as Perkz, that's exactly what happened.
My name's Emily Perkins, you might know me as the other Perkz.
As I was trying to get on with my day, I ended up retweeting, I don't know who you are, but can you untag me in this because I don't know what you're on about.
So, how is it that an unfortunate case of mistaken identity resulted in a lovely lady from Leicester being tangled up in the world of League of Legends? How has she turned this bizarre mix-up into an unlikely passion for the game? And how has her journey as a noob with a famous name become one of League's most inspiring stories?
Oh no! It was a trap! It was a trap! Oh, they're coming to get me! Run!
Hey guys, it's Dimitri. Now, having your life invaded by League of Legends diehards may not be easy, but you know what is? Switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Be sure to check out the link in the description below. All right, now back to business. Who exactly is Emily Perkins? Well, the truth is she's many things. She's a science teacher from Leicester, England. She's also a loving wife and a proud mother who's interested in fantasy literature and crocheting. And she's the proud owner of 3 guinea pigs. But until very recently, Emily Perkins was not an avid fan of esports. In fact, she barely knew anything about them.
I think I'd probably heard like if you'd have asked me before then, what's esports? I'd have probably said it's computer game sport. So I'd have probably heard of it in that context. I had no idea that it was stadium filling. So I had no idea of the scope and the scale of it.
But while Emily lived and taught in a small English city, a Croatian League of Legends player was making his name as one of the greatest Western forces ever to touch the game.
It's such a close exchange. For now, they're winning, but Perkz is coming in. This is his hero moment. If he wants to turn this fight in favor of team, this could be the game. He gets the fight moment. Faker is gone. Teddy's next on the list. There's no way he can duel Yasuo. Amada's coming in, but he's just walking into the meat grinder of Perkz. Con, can he do it? They've done enough. They've done it. They're gonna G2. Con, can he get it done? He can't. The Vladimir. They can't do it. This is it. The greatest team in the history of League of Legends. Taken down by the greatest team Europe has ever produced.
Now, if you haven't been following League for very long, Luka Perkz Perkovic is kind of a big deal. He is an 8-time European champion, an MSI champion, a Worlds finalist, and 2-time semi-finalist. But on top of his obvious pedigree, Perkz is also known for being a bit of a troll.
Dio, thank you for race again. Your first started to feel living Jita and watching it crash and burn without you.
But these two people from entirely different worlds and generations were unknowingly on an unbelievable collision course. Because while Emily Perkins is many things, she also happens to be known as Perkz on Twitter. Our story begins in January earlier this year, when Perkz and his new team Cloud9 took on 100 Thieves during the LCS lock-in semifinals. And while discussing the games, some Twitter users didn't check the Perkz handle they were using. They thought they were getting one Perkz, when in reality, they were getting another. Now, this wasn't the first time that Emily had been mistaken for Perkz, but this time, as the notifications mounted, she finally decided that she'd had enough.
I started to get a little bit annoyed because I was trying to get on with my day. I ended up retweeting, I don't know who you are, but can you untag me in this because I don't know what you're on about.
Emily's response caught the eye of Travis Gafford, who quickly retweeted it, drawing the eye of more League fans who tried explaining to her what was going on. A few days later, during the finals, Emily was sent a link to I Will Dominate's LCS co-stream of the match between Cloud9 and Team Liquid. And as the close series went to a Game 5, even the casters couldn't ignore what was happening.
It's important to recognize those who stepped up to get C9 on the precipice of another reverse sweep. And of course, that's got to go to Perkz on Twitter. And no, I'm not talking about the C9 Perkz that y'all know and love. I'm talking about Perkz, who is, by her own description, just some woman in Leicester who got pulled into the hype today.
And once the community discovered that Emily had a guinea pig who happened to share a name with one of Perkz' teammates, the ridiculousness of the situation only escalated. Although C9 Perkz might have lost the close series, for some people, Twitter Perkz stole the show.
The best thing about the whole series was the Emily Perkins meme. You know the Emily Perkins meme? This was the best thing ever to come out of a series ever. With her guinea pigs. They were guinea pigs. Yeah, and the one was called Fudge, and this was a meme breaker. It was the best thing ever.
And as the memes grew more and more ridiculous, Emily began to have some fun with it herself.
I've tried to position myself as Mama Perkz. That's like my choice. I don't know if Cloud9 like that or not, but that's how I've set myself up, for the fans anyway.
In the span of a few weeks, Emily had gone from being a total outsider to League of Legends to one of the most talked about personalities in the scene.
Oh boy, Fudge, what a long day. Now we're some of the most famous people in the LCS.
Fudge.
It wasn't long before mainstream media outlets latched onto the story, bemused by the idea that a local woman could have such an impact on North American esports, whether she wanted it or not. Emily's life had been invaded by League of Legends.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my god!
But thanks to her positive interactions with the community, she was inspired to dive headfirst into learning about the game.
There's hundreds of thousands, millions of people watch this game, so there must be something about it. I downloaded it, I opened it up, couldn't move. So I just closed it again because I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't have a mouse. I had a mouse pad, didn't know you needed a mouse. So I tried it again and I had a mouse and I tried it again. But I'd been told off by Riot Games for leaving a game. I tweeted that. People thought that was hilarious because I'd written it. I'm really sorry, Riot Games. I didn't mean to. I just don't know what's happening.
Not long after figuring out how to get the game working and avoiding the ire of Riot, Emily began uploading her first games versus bots to YouTube. Now, initially, Emily found herself drawn to Riven, mostly because the champion's combos reminded her of a game she was all too familiar with.
So I love computer games. I've played computer games all my life, but mostly on the consoles. So I'm not scared of trying a new computer game. Thing is, I used to play Tekken. We used to do 10-hit combos, so doing a 4-key combo for me didn't seem that difficult.
As Emily grew more comfortable with the game, she began to share her experiences playing it. And fans got a real kick out of her interactions with certain champions, especially when she first crossed paths with Yuumi. Now, if you don't know anything about Yuumi, here is all you need to know. Her entire shtick is that she latches herself onto other champions in order to survive. Kind of like Wisp in Dota, Mercy in Overwatch, or FaZe Clan in competitive CSGO. To put it into perspective, you can literally go to the toilet while playing Yuumi and your team might not even notice. Seriously.
I didn't quite get what was going on. They sort of said I should report it, but because I didn't understand it, I thought, well, I'll ask my friends on Twitter. So I spoke to my friends on Twitter, I posted it, and I was on about 6,000 followers at this point, and within an hour, I'd gone up another 1,500 followers. So I very innocently asked about whether I should report this character or not. People then sort of explained what the character does. However, I still think that the person who was sat on me wasn't doing what they should have been doing.
In spite of having only discovered League of Legends a few days prior, Emily's innocent, noobish exploits really endeared her to the community. Why? Because she was refreshing. For a decade-old scene that is so used to every opinion being expert and every play being textbook, Emily tapped into the nostalgia other League players had of discovering the game for the first time.
Every single person played a game for the first time once. Every single person who's really good at a game had to play it for the first time, and they had to be rubbish at it. So just because you're a noob, which is what it's called, it doesn't matter. Just play the game, just enjoy it, and don't worry about being new. Ask your questions. Just say, hey, I'm new to this, I'm really enjoying it, but can you help me with this?
On top of playing League more and more, Emily also invested more time into watching her namesake and Cloud9. And soon enough, she became their #1 superfan. Nervous when they played and joyous in their victories, Emily became glued to the new team she'd adopted. But Cloud9 weren't just going to draw the line with memes and Twitter interactions. No, they saw huge potential in this dear, sweet woman from Leicester. And on April 5th of 2021, they sent waves through the world of League of Legends by announcing that they'd signed Perkz. Again.
They've set up several things to do. So I did the 9s. They also did their interview with me, which over 300,000 people have watched, which is crazy. I also did, they set it up so that their academy coach could train me in how to play. So that was really fun.
It's okay, we got her. Nice, good heal.
Cloud9 even had Emily host their tailgate show before their LCS Spring Final versus Team Liquid, where she interviewed Cloud9's CEO, Jacques Etienne. Hell, she even did the most British thing ever. She spent time teaching Cloud9 fans how to make English scones.
So there we have it. We have our tea and our scone ready to go and eat.
But what about the collab that everyone wanted to see? What about Perkz and Perkz? Well, the two finally crossed paths when Emily hosted a series of 1v1s between Perkz and Fudge, where she was able to quiz her doppelganger on her favorite English food.
We've missed the most important question. The most important question is, do you know what a toad in the hole is?
No, I don't know what it is.
I just think he's incredible. He's a young man who's moved halfway across the world to fit into a new team, and he's absolutely annihilating his opponent. I just think he's brilliant.
Now, as much as the affection and attention Emily was receiving overwhelmed her, the truth is, she never got caught up in the hype. And more importantly, she recognized that her newfound platform could be used to benefit a motivation close to her heart. Ever since the tragic passing of one of her students in 2015, Emily has been an active fundraiser for the Laura Center, which helps to support grieving families. But now, with her additional clout in the League community, and because of Cloud9's Play Together campaign, Emily's been able to help raise further funding for that cause. And she's even looking at combining her passions for teaching, fundraising, and esports into organizing her own event.
So in my family of schools, there are 3 secondary schools, and I'd love to set up an esports competition between the 3 schools. The 3 schools can play each other. That's what I want. What I'd really love to do for my personal joy and for my students and my schools is try and make that happen.
Just a few months ago, nobody in League of Legends had ever heard of Emily Perkins. Now she reps one of the biggest orgs on the planet, has thousands of followers, and she even has her own Twitch channel.
Yes, first blood. Woohoo!
Let's be honest. It's been a tough year for esports, an uncertain year. The usual packed stadiums and iconic events have been sorely missed. But rediscovering esports through Emily's inexperienced eyes, all because of a simple coincidence, has been one hell of a pick-me-up. Her introduction to a world that she previously didn't even know existed might have been eye-opening for her, but if anything, for the League community, she has been the true revelation. And for Emily, that's just one of the perks of the job.
I'm in all my gear. Look, I've got my top on. I've got my top on here. I've got my trousers on. I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone will recognize me.
Esports athlete always feels weird. I know people say that all the time, but I don't kind of cringe. Kind of. Well, the truth is.
Poor lady.
I know.
It could have been any other game.
Right?
Could have been a good game.
Could have been a good game.
But
rip. Rip.